is like verbal chess. I mean, you know, he has a set number of things which he tends to say, and you try to get him to actually say some specifics.
You make a move, and then he wipes all the pieces off the board and says this is a silly game, and you have to set the pieces back.
But I enjoy the entire process, and I tried to pin him down on specifics as much as possible. Easier said than done. I did ask him about his trip to the border, and does he have any actual evidence when he keeps claiming that the Mexican government is sending over this wave of illegal immigrants. Here's that part of the conversation. You're heading to the border tomorrow. You've made trips to the border in the past. You've been invited by a group representing Border Patrol officers. You keep saying Mexico is sending these people across.
Right, Mexico is sending. You said it properly. You said it properly. Thank you.
But you've offered no proof. And that's what people say about that.
Well, you may have proof very soon. You may have proof very soon. All you have to do is speak to some of the border people. Some of the border people told me, well, we're going to see a lot of border people
We talked to immigration officials who said, look, they've never heard of that. There's no evidence of that. Wouldn't somebody, I mean, of all the people who have been arrested, you're telling me there wouldn't be proof by now?
Do you remember many years ago, Fidel Castro, when he emptied the prisons and sent everybody into the United States, right? Very famous, right? This is a much more sophisticated version of the same thing. Mexico doesn't want to house these people.
But there was clear evidence of that.
This animal, excuse me, this animal that killed Kate, he came across 5 times. 5 times. Now, maybe he came across because he thought the weather was nice. Maybe he was pushed across by Mexico officials. Look, Mexico's leaders are much smarter and sharper and more cunning than our leaders. They're doing things that we don't even know about. Let's see what happens. I'm going to speak to a lot of people tomorrow. There are a lot of people very excited that I'm going to the border tomorrow. I may never see you again, but these are minor details.
You're telling me that one illegal immigrant wouldn't have a slip of paper or something that would indicate that he was sent?
Well, we're going to find out. We're going to say. I think it's common sense. Mexico doesn't want to house somebody for 30 years in a prison when the United States will do it.
You keep saying everybody knows this is the case.
I think so,
yeah.
I think a lot of people know.
But there's no
I think the
evidence
smart people know. I think the streetwise people know. And I think border guards know. Well, you're going to find out if I have evidence. I'm not telling you now, but you're going to find out what I have.
Do you think he has proof that the Mexican government is sending the worst people it can find?
Of course not. I mean, if he had proof, you're telling me Donald Trump would not be waiving the proof on day one? I mean, he says maybe.
And the danger is he has people believing this, and that's why it was so important for you to push him on it as many times as you did.
But it's, what's interesting is I think he's in many ways impervious to facts. I mean, and I don't say that in a disrespectful way. I do think that he's got obviously he's got an incredibly talented guy. He's a very smart guy, as he will point out. But you can present him with all the facts. You can present him with, well, you haven't presented any facts. And I don't think among his supporters that really matters at this stage of the game.
What a hilarious admission! He's like, yeah, his voters, the Republican base, the far right, I don't think they care that he doesn't have any facts. And I enjoy him saying, well, I think he's impervious to facts, and I don't mean that in a bad way. You should mean it in a bad way. How is there any positive interpretation of that? This guy's running for president and he doesn't give a fuck about facts, but I don't mean that in a bad way. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't vote for him. I'm just saying the guy doesn't believe in facts. It's a neutral thing. It's up in the air as to whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. You like facts, you don't like facts. It's a matter of opinion. And then the example he gave is hilarious. He's like, yeah, Castro did that once where he released the prisoners and sent them to the U.S. Why did Castro do that? Castro was our enemy, and we had been fucking with his internal affairs and trying to overthrow him for a very long time. So this was like, fuck you, I'm going to get you back. Here's all of our prisoners. Mexico is our ally. Not only that, there's been various documentaries on, the border and what happens there. Vice had a fantastic one about people who try to get into the U.S., they get deported. And they try to get back in there, they get deported. And it's a fucking hard life, man. You see, they're living in horrible conditions. But what's clear is that nobody in the Mexican government is saying, go right ahead. In fact, they're some of the toughest people. They catch them, they bring them right back. They say, you can't go there. So he absolutely made it up. And, I mean, think about if we tried the same thing that Trump is doing here. He's like, do I have proof or no? I don't have proof. Wait and see. Wait and see. Soon I'll I'm going to expose this whole thing. I'm going to blow the lid off this thing, man. Believe me. This is some big stuff we're talking about here. Mexican government sending them. At one point he said, it's common sense. No, it's not. How is that common sense? You make something up and just say it's common sense, and then when people disagree with you, you attack them? But you just made it up. If anything, common sense is the opposite because there's zero evidence for it. So the common sense would be, I don't think that's happening because there's no evidence for it. He's like, no, it's common sense that it is happening. But imagine we did that with him. You just say something and then when you're pressed on it, you're like, I'll give you proof later. So, okay, Don, I heard you were a pedophile. Proof? Do I have proof? No, I don't have proof, but wait and see. I'll give you proof later. You just gotta hang on. I'm gonna blow the lid off this thing, man. This is a big story. Common sense. You're a pedophile. Wouldn't accept it in any other realm, would you? So why would you accept it when we're talking about immigrants? Oh, I know. Because you view the Mexicans and the illegals as rapists. So whatever you say against them, by definition, is okay. That's why you're myopic. That's why you're xenophobic. That's why you're racist. And that's why the ultra right wing of the Republican base loves you.